So if you've ever had, a great business idea that really hinges on local reach.
Like a community newspaper or something like that.
Exactly. Local guide, a niche magazine.
Yeah.
You immediately hit this modern media paradox.
Right.
Do you spend a ton of money on costly, tangible print, or do you try to survive on, the razor-thin margins of digital advertising? It's a huge decision.
And that challenge is exactly what we're tackling today. We have the full detailed business plan for a venture called the Memphis Coupon Book.
Okay.
And this isn't just some idea on a napkin. It's a meticulously planned hybrid model.
A hybrid model.
Yeah, and it aims to generate serious profit in a market like Memphis, Tennessee. You're talking nearly 1 million people in Shelby County.
So our mission today is to unpack how they plan to structure this, how they'd staff it, and of course monetize it. And their core offering, it's pretty ambitious.
It's not just one product, it's a stack.
It's a whole stack. You get a high-end, full-color, glossy magazine. That's for prestige.
Right. And then you get a companion, low-cost, 2-color coupon book.
Yeah.
That's for pure utility.
And then a digital platform to tie it all together. The goal, ultimately, is to give local savings to customers for free while convincing advertisers that this whole approach is worth it.
And before they even think about printing a coupon, they need a solid foundation, the administrative side.
The legal stuff.
Exactly. We see the first steps here, getting the Tennessee business tax license for Shelby County and Memphis. That involves a real street address, no P.O. boxes allowed, and paying the local fees.
But the real indicator here, the thing that tells you this was a serious commercial undertaking, and not just, a side hustle from a garage, is the tax structure. The documentation references Davis Group Enterprises, Inc.
Yep, with a federal employer's identification number.
And it specifies they're filing taxes using Form 1120.
And that's crucial for you to note, because filing Form 1120 means they established a corporate structure.
They're a real company.
They're a real company. They weren't taking the risk as individuals. They were creating a formal entity to manage all the liability that comes with high-cost production and hopefully high-volume sales. This corporate structure is the launchpad.
Okay, so they're set up for the massive potential of the Memphis market.
And that potential is huge.
When you look at the landscape in Memphis and Shelby County, you're talking about thousands of potential businesses that need customers.
Exactly. The source notes the infrastructure estimates, and it just shows the sheer density. We're talking over 1,000 restaurants.
1,000, wow.
Well over 1,000 retail stores, plus dozens of hotels and schools. This is the pool of money they need to tap into.
And the restaurant category, that has to be the lifeblood of any coupon market. Right?
Oh, absolutely. This isn't some small town where there are 3 places to eat. This is a whole culinary ecosystem.
Yeah.
The documents list famous institutions like Central BBQ, Rendezvous.
Brisk Chris Steakhouse is in there.
Exactly. Every single one of those places is fighting for foot traffic, which makes them prime targets for a high-quality coupon placement.
And the distribution strategy seems pretty smart, too. They're connecting the content directly to the place.
Right. They recognize that Memphis isn't just about local business. It's a huge tourist destination. So by targeting spots like Graceland, Beale Street, the Stax Museum,
the National Civil Rights Museum,
they make sure their publication gets into the hands of tourists who are looking to save money. It maximizes their audience beyond just the locals.
Okay, let's unpack this and get to the part that I think determines if a business like this lives or dies. The hard costs.
The numbers.
The numbers. When you go into print media, the costs can be terrifying. And we have the figures right here. We have to look at the overall expense and the unit cost. That's what the sales team has to overcome every single day.
We have precise production estimates, including quotes from Gannett Publishing. And it's for a large format, high-quality book using premium paper, 4-color printing. This was not cheap newsprint.
No, you can see the commitment to quality in the numbers. The source shows that a single run, just 25,000 copies of a 24-page publication, that costs $2,743.
And if you double the pages, the cost basically doubles.
And let's not forget the hidden fees that can just crush a small business. File alterations cost money. Color page changes are $19 per change.
And if we look at the monthly operational expense snapshot, the commitment to quality becomes even more obvious.
Okay.
The total expense noted in the documents for a run of 60 units per month is $31,530. But here's the most fascinating detail.
Go on.
The 2 largest costs are not printing.
Wait, hold on. I want to emphasize this for you listening. The physical printing, the ink on paper, is budgeted at $6,900.
Right.
But the graphic design budget is a staggering $19,440.
Almost 3 times the cost of the actual printing.
That's a profound insight into their strategy.
It is. They are trying to win on low price. They're trying to win on perceived value and professional aesthetics. They knew the coupons had to look premium to attract both high-end advertisers and consumers.
They're trying to make it look as far from a cheap throwaway flyer as possible.
Exactly.
But doesn't that expose them to massive risk? 19 grand tied up in one skill set? What if that one designer walks out the door? That seems like a huge vulnerability.
It is a vulnerability, which just underscores why that corporate structure we talked about was so necessary. They're placing a massive bet on design consistency, knowing that without that professional look, advertisers won't pay the rates they need.
And that focus on aesthetics is why the unit cost reality is so high.
Yes. The data suggests that for a run of 50,000 books, the production expense per book, including that design cost, is $1.59.
$1.59, that's the hurdle. Every single sales agent has to walk into a business and convince them that their ad space is worth enough to justify not just the ink, but that subsidized $1.59 per op production cost plus the profit margin.
Which brings us directly to the revenue model.
How do they pull in enough money to cover over $30,000 in expenses and pay for that design?
Well, they need diversified income. That's standard now. You can't just rely on selling space in a physical book.
Okay.
So print revenue is still essential. That's ad sales.
Yeah.
Everything from the big brand-building magazine ads to the immediate trackable calls to action in the coupon section. Buy one, get one.
But the digital side is where the real scale is built in, right? Leveraging those high margins.
Precisely. Digital revenue includes your display ads and newsletter sponsorships, but they also built in affiliate marketing. If a digital coupon code they provide is used, they get a commission.
Smart.
They also have ancillary services, selling sponsored content, running local events, and even selling their design and printing services to other businesses, which is a great buffer against slow ad months.
Now, you can have the best product in the world, but if your sales team isn't motivated, you fail. And this is where The Source introduced a brilliant framework for managing them. The 3 golden rules, or the SEP framework.
Simple, equitable, and profitable. This framework is all about structuring compensation to maximize motivation and minimize any friction.
Simple is easy enough. Salespeople need to know immediately what they've earned. You can't make them wait. The Source suggests a tiered structure, like 15% on big deals, 10% on smaller ones.
Makes the math transparent. And equitable is about fairness. They recognize that team morale just plummets if pay depends on where the lead came from.
So it doesn't matter if it was from an SEO campaign or if the agent found it themselves.
Right. The commission needs to be fair to prevent resentment and burnout.
And profitable. Well, that's the owner's golden rule.
It mandates that the sales team must deliver value that significantly exceeds their compensation. Specifically, The Source suggests they have to bring in 2 to 3 times their total compensation package in revenue.
That's a serious benchmark for productivity.
And that benchmark defines the actual sales target. To cover that $31,530 in monthly expenses and hit their goal of a 12% profit, about $1,500, they need to hit a sales potential of over $14,353 a month.
That sounds manageable. But when you break it down into units, it's a high-pressure game.
It is.
To hit that 14,000 plus potential, they need 144 ad sales at a minimum average of $89 each per month.
144 sales a month.
That's almost 7 sales every single working day.
It's an immense volume requirement, which is why the business model has to incorporate the hybrid advantage. They need to sell that 400% boost in response rates that you get from combined print and digital campaigns. They can't possibly hit 144 units selling just one static product.
So the high cost of the print is only justified if it acts as the credibility engine for the really profitable digital side.
Exactly.
What kind of returns are we talking about on digital?
When local media pivots to digital successfully, the profit margins are excellent. You see gross profits over 41% in EBITDA.
Earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization.
Right. It hovers around 32%. That margin is what carries the $1.59 print product.
And their digital offering is positioned smartly. They aren't just selling banner ads on some static website.
No, the business is set up to be a retailer facilitator. It allows their clients to sign up, create their own subsite, and actively manage their own promotions. They're selling a digital tool set, not just ad space.
It turns them into a partner that helps retailers run their own digital strategy, backed by the prestige of the physical magazine.
That's the whole game.
So to manage this, the high design costs, the high volume sales targets, the complex distribution, What's the minimum staff they identified?
The notes detail a remarkably lean core team, given the scope. You have the owner, focused entirely on securing big contracts.
Okay.
One dedicated graphics designer, which justifies that $19,000 budget. The printer is a large, professional, external company.
Right.
A minimum of 2 sales agents, the ones who have to hit those 144 sales. And crucially, a minimum of 4 delivery drivers.
4 drivers. For a local product, that just shows how important the physical distribution is to them. They're not relying on the mail. They're ensuring that $1.59 piece of media gets into people's hands.
The distribution network is non-negotiable. And if you look at the core services they sell, they position themselves as a full-service media and marketing firm. The services are categorized under advertising, events, film production, media planning, and print production.
They're selling expertise, layout, coordination, meetings, travel, editing, research, not just, square inches of paper.
It's an expansive model designed to buffer those high initial costs.
So it all comes down to 2 things, really. First, accepting that the cost of quality, especially that high-end design, will dwarf the actual printing cost. And second, building a high ROI sales engine anchored by those SEP principles. The profit is there, but it requires relentless discipline.
Which raises the final, provocative question for you to think about. The source material says the sales team has to generate 2 to 3 times their compensation to make this work. If the physical product costs $1.59 per book to make, how dramatically does the sales presentation need to emphasize the tangible value and premium quality of that $1.59 product over the digital reach alone to justify that massive margin? It's not just about selling the location in a book, it's about selling the delivery and the high-end aesthetic of a very carefully crafted, high-cost item.